Welcome back, everybody. Eric and Geoff with you as always to break down what's going down in MMA. Today, of course, we're going to be breaking down UFC 137. Should be pretty interesting. A couple fights on that card. We do have Roy Big Country Nelson is going to be taking on Mirko Krokop. Should be an interesting fight. Also, a fight that I'm actually very excited for is actually on the Spike TV prelims. Donald Cowboy Cerrone going to be taking on Dennis Seaver. And then, of course, the main event for that night is... Actually, that's been doing some changing. And I don't remember who that is now. Geoff, who's the main event for that card now?
Well, yeah, Eric, there has been some changing for this main event. The UFC has been playing some musical chairs with these 4 welterweights. We had originally Georges St-Pierre defending his welterweight title against Nick Diaz. And then Nick Diaz wouldn't show up to press conferences. He wouldn't play the game. So Dana White couldn't trust him, said, you know what, I can't allow that to happen in my company, so I'm going to bring Carlos Condit up, who's a hungry contender. I'm going to bring him up from the co-main event to fight GSP, and we're going to punish Nick Diaz to have him fight BJ Penn.
Awesome.
So they're switching this card around, but then all of a sudden we found out this week that Georges St-Pierre injured himself in training, spraining his knee, so that Carlos Condit couldn't fight in a replacement. So now that they're going to have to pull that fight completely off the card and make BJ Penn and Nick Diaz the co-main event is now the main event. Should be interesting. We have 2 excellent boxers with great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're not going to try to take each other down. They're going to try to strike with each other like maniacs, you know? So it should be an interesting matchup. Of course, we're going to give you our predictions. Of course, Eric, how do you see Nick Diaz posing any type of threat to BJ Penn?
Well, you know, even what they had said, apparently, I was reading just on the internet the other day, that apparently Nick Diaz was challenging BJ Penn to make it a 5-round fight. I think some people were thinking maybe the reason he was doing this, you know, is because in the past, people have really questioned BJ's conditioning. But, I mean, honestly, after the fight with Diego Sanchez and a couple of his more recent fights, I don't think that's really a question anymore. But a lot of people will agree that Diaz does have the edge as far as, you know, cardio. The guy, he's known to just do triathlons, like, for fun. So, I mean, even though he does have the better cardio, and I think a 5-round would be awesome, and they're actually thinking about maybe still doing that, all in all, I do think I have to give the edge to BJ a little bit in this one.
Yeah, I would say boxing, well, actually, boxing is kind of even. I mean, both boxing aficionados, you would say, for mixed martial arts. I would say BJ Penn has better experience. He's been in the UFC since 2001, but he's been fighting professionally for a very, very long time. Same with Nick Diaz. He's kind of been fighting since 2001 also, so they both have a boatload of experience. Of course, Nick Diaz has had some more fights, but BJ Penn's just been more dominant in the UFC. He's won different titles in different weight classes. The only person to do that other than him was Randy Couture. So he's just been really good. I mean, if he wants a rematch with GSP, he's going to have to decisively put an exclamation point on Nick Diaz. I think he might have the advantage, probably striking, probably getting close, because I know Nick Diaz has some reach, but BJ's good with his head movement, probably getting close, probably counter him.
Yeah.
And then if anything happens, if it ever went to the ground, I don't know who to give the advantage to, because I don't think it should go to the ground. I mean, they both are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, and technically you can argue they both came from the same team. They both trained with Gracie's. So it's an interesting stylistic matchup. I think BJ Penn's going to have the advantage for sure, but this isn't against Nick Diaz. He can definitely push a pace that no one else can set, and as the rounds go on, BJ Penn has been shown to get tired, so we'll see how it plays out, but I'm going to go with BJ Penn by knockout in the 2nd round.
Wow. BJ Penn by knockout, 2nd round. Sounds pretty good. I'm actually guessing about the same thing, but I'm going to say BJ Penn by knockout in the 3rd round. So should be interesting. You know, what you said I think is a big thing too. I think the size advantage is one of the main things there. You know, like last time BJ, you know, at welterweight, he was like wearing boots and jeans at weigh-ins and making like
168.
Yeah, 168. Whereas Diaz, you know, has to cut a good amount of weight. But again, I think Diaz has a lot of power in those punches, but they do come a little slower. Whereas BJ, I think when he gets in there, I think it's even Freddie Roach that said he believes that BJ Penn has the best hands, the best boxing, you know, in MMA. So I think he's going to use his speed to the advantage. And of course, if they don't plan on having the fight go to the ground, I really don't think either guy is going to get really that worn out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do believe BJ probably fighting at 170. He'll have the speed advantage. At 155, he had strength. but he couldn't keep up with the lighter guys like Frankie Edgar, who he had some awesome fights with. But he's also had some great fights at 170, so I don't think this will be a disappointing main event at all. I think this is actually going to be more exciting than George St. Pierre fighting. No offense to GSP fans. I've just known him to be a little boring to me. So this is going to be more exciting in my opinion.
To each his own. To each his own. Maybe Dana White feels the same way, and that's why Dana White now has Frankie Edgar as number 2 and not GSP. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us.
Maybe because Frankie Edgar actually finishes fights.
Yeah, we can get into a whole different argument with that one. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining Eric and Geoff, of course, and breaking down what's going down in MMA. We will see y'all next time. Peace.